Oh, yeah, I didn't know what you were talking about. I know. How did you know?
Sanchez said he did it today.
Awesome. Yeah, that was as of this morning, so.
Okay, yep, so, yep. So, and for live, just so you know. Sit over here with all my friends.
Does anybody else need to sign it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You just heard never have your back to regional people.
What's that?
I said, you just heard set with your back to a room full of people.
I always do that. Restaurants.
In this day and age, you better know what's going on in front of you.
Ready, Paula? I'd like to call the meeting to order for March 28th, 2023. Would you please rise for a moment of silence? Thank you. Olivia and CJ, would you come up front and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. One nation
Thank you. Thank you, kids. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Sheets,
Here.
trustee Hunter,
Here.
trustee Gooden.
Here. Okay, and we received minutes from January 10th, the reorganizational meeting, and regular meetings, January 10th, 24th, February 14th, and 28th for 2023. Are there any corrections, deletions, or additions to the minutes?
I have one, it would be under January 24th. Deputy Hamilton reported that during the period of January 20th through January 24th, 100 calls of service resulting in 10 reports, 1 ticket, 0 arrest. Is that correct?
I'd have to look back off the top of my head. I don't.
That seems like a lot of calls. 100
From January 20th, is that?
in 4 days?
Yeah, that seems like a lot, so it may have been.
I'd probably have maybe a date down wrong.
Oh,
Because we had probably a 2-week period,
Yeah, it should have
Yeah.
been 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So,
okay.
yeah, it was probably from,
And that was on January 24th.
it was probably from the 10th, which would have been our meeting before that, right?
Yeah, usually I do it from the end of the meeting.
Yeah, so,
The
or
next meeting.
wait a minute,
Stats.
yeah. Would have probably been, yeah. It was probably a typo.
Okay, with the correction of the date for the Sheriff's Department report, there are no other corrections, deletions, or additions. The minutes stand approved. And I will make a motion to pay our expenditures. Do I have a second? I'll second. Roll call?
Trustee Sheets,
Yes.
trustee Hunter,
Yes.
trustee Good.
Yes. Okay, and is Hannah on?
Yes, she is.
Hannah's our reporter from the Messenger, and she should be on her WebEx. Hi, Hannah. Thank you for being here.
Hi there. Thanks for having me this evening.
Okay, and we will go on to department reports. Deputy Hamilton?
So good evening. In the last 2 weeks, there was 148 total calls of service. 19 reports were taken and 1 ticket was issued. There was no burglaries or B&Es over the last 2 weeks. We did have 4 thefts, but all of them were unrelated. And it's another reminder, I'll get here in a minute. You're done. There were 6 accidents we responded to, 6 suspicious persons or vehicles were stopped or talked to, 15 alarm drops, 17 traffic stops, and 14 disabled vehicles. And just a reminder to the community, there was a lot of ongoing identity thefts and that stuff. I just want to make sure people monitor their information closely and always double check who you're giving your information to, because that's a lot of our thefts this time around was identity thefts and people posing as somebody they weren't. So.
Anyone have anything for Deputy Hamilton?
Brian, West Timberlake.
Yeah.
Just one question was, there've been some noticed, granted, there's not anybody out there coming in or anything, but cars driving pretty quickly off of, Timberlake or, Lambert, from 62 going, toward, I think probably that's on the road, but around the Timberlake area, there's some children that are off that road. So I just wanted to just kind of monitor.
Yeah, what time of day usually is it?
It was a general, statement, it wasn't.
Okay.
With any specific detail.
Okay,
I was assuming some more towards general, maybe evening or during daytime, so.
okay, I can also put speed trailer out there. Since the sun's a little bit brighter, because it's solar power, we can get it out there. Get a more accurate time.
Appreciate that. I'll be right by the bridge area.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to your road department. Robert?
We finished filling potholes this time. We will probably make one more round after the freeze and thaw was done for the year. I've already noticed a couple more coming back out. We had some wind damage the other night. Grassley Road, we had to close it late afternoon on Saturday. And it was probably about 4 o'clock on Sunday evening when they finally got done. The tree fell and took out a couple power poles and just took them a while to get that taken care of. We've been doing equipment maintenance, pretty much getting the zero turns ready to start mowing cemeteries because I don't think we're very far away at all. We already mowed out here today and we took off more grass than I thought we would, but it made it look a little better. I met with a couple of the Seaman Road residents about their high water. I went out Saturday morning after that heavy rain Friday and did notice one of the things I discovered the other day was true, that when the water gets so high further down to the north, it is backflowing to the south instead of going in the direction it's supposed to, putting more water on its people. So I've got a couple things I want to try to see if I can relieve that without flooding the next guy out. So that's just something I'm waiting on the weather to break where I can start digging.
So the house to the north, it had a lot of water, didn't it?
It had a lot of water, but once it got so high, then it starts pushing the other direction. Once it raises about 4 inches, then it starts backflowing, and it was probably that high. So they were getting a fair amount of water coming from the north going towards the south. So if I can get the northern part to take more water across the street, and I'm gonna have to play it by ear, but plug that tile. And if it doesn't affect the guy at the north, I can leave it that way and hopefully things will work out.
Then force it to go.
I'll force it to go the way it should. But that's the thing, I'm gonna have to be real careful doing that just to make sure I don't screw up the next person. And then I hate to make you do this again, but I guess I did it wrong on the no engine brake signs. They wanted a resolution. Be what I'm after right there.
Paula, can you use this as one of our resolutions, or would you?
That's fine. It doesn't matter.
With the signs and everything. I will make resolution number, you want me to write it in here?
Yes, if you would, please.
Resolution number 22, am I right with the number? 22 -03 -28 -2 023 to request the installation of 2 no engine brake signs on Lambert Road. The first sign to be located at the intersection of Lambert Road and Timberlake Circle, heading northwest. The second to be located at 62 and 6281 Lambert Road, heading south. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Trustee Sheets,
Yes.
trustee Hunter,
Yes.
trustee Gooden.
Yes.
And then we have our mileage certification from the Ohio Department of Transportation. That's just, I need to send that back to the county. And they, county engineer signs that and then sends that to ODOT.
We have to sign it now?
If you, well, you're gonna have to sign that too, so when you're signing stuff, just go ahead and sign them both, please.
Just one?
Yeah. They went to doing it electronically, so we don't have to do two like we always did. And we received the bridge inspection form report from the Franklin County engineers. That's just something they give to us each year to show the conditions of the bridges that we do have in the township. A reminder, the spring cleanup will be held on April 28th and 29th. Did anybody hear anything about the shredding?
I put a call into Andrew Booker and he said he would check and get back with me, which he is not.
That's the same with the electronics with me, so. Then the Earth Day Urban Garden Grant product distribution event. I signed up to pick up the things that Bill Dawson applied for. Receiving this grant is for the beautification of Ebenezer Cemetery. Bill is planning a volunteer work day Monday the 10th. So mark your calendars if you'd like to help. Stop by and say hello or pitch a hand. But that's all I have.
Their time on me.
Not yet.
And I do need to check with Bill to see exactly what I'm supposed to pick up. Did you see anything on there, like a list of what I'm supposed to pick up? Because,
It's in the grant.
okay, I'll ask him then, because I want to make sure I take the right vehicle. So,
Maybe it was a long one.
okay, a lot of mulch. Thank you.
Hey, Chief Whiting.
Couple things, we don't have a whole lot. This,
Well, you were pretty busy today.
well, yeah, so.
I mean, just,
Couple things. We had one of our firefighters just complete their Fire Officer One training. We got another one that's getting ready to go through some computer training that's going to really help us enhance our ability to monitor and get more data out of the processes and things that we do that will hopefully make us more efficient with our staff and things like that. Personnel wise, I received a resignation letter from Kyle Heffler, one of our part-timers, so I want to have him removed from our roles. And then I want to take on a part-timer, Brendan Watts, for my personnel. And then grant-wise, with our FEMA grant that we received, we're still meeting, and that's going to be an ongoing process until we select the right vendors for the personal protective equipment that we're going to.
I will make resolution 23 to hire Brendan Watts as part-time firefighter in TV.
Yes.
Have a second? Roll call?
Trustee Sheets,
Yes.
trustee Hunter,
Yes.
trustee Gooden.
Yes. And I'll make a motion to accept the resignation letter from Kyle Heffler.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Trustee Sheets,
Yes.
trustee Hunter,
Yes.
trustee Gooden.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I have one thing. At the last meeting, you had said that I had invested that grant money.
Yes.
And apparently there was a miscommunication between you and I, because I thought you were going to check with them to see if we had to send it back before I did anything with investing it.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard back.
No.
So I hadn't done anything with it,
Okay.
but I did check, I did go ahead and check with the bank, and he said that for me to check with, since you weren't sure when you would probably be using it or how much at a time, that I need to maybe check with Star Ohio and put the money in there. And it's more flexible than what the third would be with it.
Okay. I'll follow up and then we'll get together and
Okay.
talk about that.
All right.
Okay. Yep.
Old business. We had mentioned a problem with an aerator last month. Does anybody hear about that? Okay, at last meeting, we received an email about replacing an aerator. And this is just for information only if anybody in here has a aerator system. Which is inspected by Franklin County Board of Health. The homeowner said he replaced his aerator and received a violation because it is not the factory one. The homeowner said, I guess they have decided to enforce a relatively new code and they are making everyone change out their pumps. I was wondering why they didn't inform people of this when the new code went into effect back in 2015 and give people plenty of notice. I just purchased mine about 2 years ago and it works and was inspected twice and passed. These are not cheap. My question is, do you guys know anything about this? And can they do this? Or can I just wait until this one goes bad? And this is the response he received from our code inspector and then from the supervisor from public health. From the inspector, it says, the reason that the aerator motor in this homeowner's septic system is considered a violation is because the Ohio Department of Health requires that all aeration sewage treatment systems contain an NSF certified aerator that is proven to perform adequately in each system. Since the homeowner had a jet aeration system, according to Ohio Department of Health, they must have a jet aerator motor in the system, as it is the only one certified by ODH to treat the sewage within that system properly. And the supervisor said that it is not our code, it's a state statute. And we have had language on the flyer that we sent out to property owners such as yourself every year that states use of replacement parts other than original equipment, manufacturer parts is not permitted for several years now. And additionally, our WQ technicians have been noting it on their observation reports when they come out and do their annual inspections. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that will happen to you. So. And then we have, were you bringing this request for Elaine Bergman? Is Elaine here? She emailed me. She's the events person for Timberlake Owners Association, and asked to block Sandpiper from the first entrance off Timberlake Circle to 5364 Sandpiper Drive for their Easter egg hunt on Saturday, April 1st, with a rain date of Sunday, April 2nd, approximately 11 to 3 p.m.
The last time we did that was around Halloween, and we received complaints from like the Oriole Court, I believe. It's the first one off of Sandpiper. We received complaints from them. They actually came to the meeting and complained about
I
it.
remembered that.
So that's what I've got to say about that.
So what are your thoughts on this?
I wasn't engaged in it. I wasn't around for the event or the kitchens that were going on. But during our meetings that did come up, where there were some who didn't, I guess they found some difficulty. We're trying, I think the idea was trying to work around people's times where most likely people will be in or out. To get enough notification, probably it'll not be a hindrance. I'm not sure how many specifically individuals. I wasn't provided like a specific number, but it is state that several individuals didn't think about it.
Do you know, do they set up activities in the roadway?
I don't believe it's specifically in the roadway. They may have some tables set up and things of that nature, but just they're offering drinks or food and such. They have other activities, things sometimes on the grass. I think the Halloween was a little bit of a different thing. We did have, I think, a concert or someone coming for more commercial or community type activity. So people were parking cars on the streets and so forth, and when we gave that opportunity to do that versus making people park along ways and try to walk all the way back. So I'm not sure the specifics. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for it. I just heard some of the conversations.
Is there a concert or a band involved in this?
No.
It's just for the kids' Easter egg. Thoughts?
It's blocking a whole road for me to get out of the house.
Isn't there any place else you could do that without blocking the roadway?
From some of the conversations, if I recall correctly, they were trying to find something that was a little bit out of the way, not necessarily like on Timber or on Pheasant or like Circle, or trying to move it away from, the general access.
How about down by the old basketball courts down Lambert Road there, Old Lambert?
I can bring that up. I'm not sure if that was discussed or not. I don't know specifically what they found in that specific location. If it was an easy access for everyone to get to. It was hopefully not going to have bother or impact the majority. Granted, there's always going to be some of these impacted, unfortunately. But I think the thought was trying to find a good impact place that was easy to access. Not trying to hold it too long, so they're not trying to hold it a whole entire day. So they're trying to, designate a specific time and hoping that doesn't impact them.
In the middle of the day. Not get out.
Yeah, you want me to bring anything back to the board? Ask for a question?
Well, this is for Saturday, so you don't have, you don't really have a lot of time.
Let me look up this address first. if I can.
How many houses are we talking?
I apologize. I don't be able to answer it because
Robert,
I'm familiar with.
Robert may know.
There,
Between Timberlake Circle,
there's probably about,
the first entrance, to 5364 Sandpiper.
It's way back.
about 5 or 6 houses, depending on where they exactly close it, but I don't know how much room they need, but if you could go from Timberlake Circle and stop at Oriole Court, that way it'd allow the people in Oriole Court to go around the other way.
Yeah, that would be reasonable.
Yeah,
It's not, it's probably cutting that amount of road space in half, but that way people could still get in and out.
so the first entrance of Timberlake Circle to,
Timberlake and Sandpiper to Oriole Court.
Oriole. Do you think that would be agreeable with your association?
I can bring it back. I'm sure if there's an opportunity just to have it, not necessarily affect anybody. I'm sure they'll probably do.
Okay, so everybody would be able to get out that way.
Yeah, if I was looking at everything correctly.
Feel better about that.
Yeah,
I agree.
so we're on almost 24th.
What was it? 11 to 3.
Yeah.
Oriole.
I'll make resolution 24 to block Sandpiper from the first entrance Timberlake Circle to Oriole Court Drive, or Oriole Court for their Easter egg hunt. Saturday, April 1st, with a rain date of Sunday, April 2nd, approximately 11 a.m. till 3 p.m.
I'll send an email tonight.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Trustee Sheets,
Yes.
trustee Hunter,
Yes.
trustee Good.
Yes.
I'll email her back too. I told her I would. Okay, we also have had some issues with local waste randomly missing pickup at 5575 Norton Road. And I emailed Kaylee Bollinger, the customer service manager, and she has contacted the resident and she's taking care of it. Is there any other new business? Announcements. Just want to remind all employees who receive health benefits, they must fill out a form by Friday, March 31st.
They need to do it even if they just have to get on there and say, there's a
Really?
box in it, waive.
Okay.
So you have to hit that waive.
Okay, go on. Paula.
Okay.
Joy for Kid, have we filed that second American Rescue Plan Act to the Treasury that's due April the 30th?
I have never filed any paperwork on that many. Randy has usually handled that.
You Taylor did it
He did the
before.
first one and the second one's not even, they've reminded us, but it's not there yet. So they actually have a form that you fill out. They said it will not be available until the first part.
Do you want to do that when it comes?
I can.
We'll have to find the password and I'll look in that blue folder. It could be in there.
Okay,
And all it is reporting on your expenditures. I need to look up and see I believe we've only had one expenditure out of that. And I just need to, I don't know what the date of the report will be, whether we've already reported that or not.
Okay.
If we have, then we'll have no expenditure, so that'll be an easy report to file.
Okay.
And I saw these notes in the Township magazine. They have troubleshooting in each, I suppose while everybody's spending their money, they have a troubleshooting page in the Ohio Township.
I'll look at that.
So does the last money that we made a resolution for, does that need its own line item?
That is already set up, but I haven't done anything with that because I have some problems with that and I'm gonna be getting with you guys on that.
What's the problems?
I'm gonna write you a letter on it. I'm gonna put it all in writing.
Because we had Pete look at the resolution
Okay.
and they okayed it.
Okay.
Because we need to start using it as soon as we can.
Okay, well, I will address it briefly here if you want it. First of all, it is null and void because it was discussed apparently outside of a meeting, so it violated the sunshine law. There was no discussion at a meeting. There was no discussion at a public meeting about spending that money. I'm the fiscal officer and I knew nothing about it. So if the fiscal officer doesn't know anything about it, I'm not sure how the public would know about it.
It was a public meeting when the resolution was passed. You weren't here at
Okay.
the meeting.
You just passed the minutes. Would we like to read the minutes? You just passed the minutes
You
that
weren't here
means.
the meeting that.
I
resolution-
understand that, but I wrote the minutes off the videotape.
It was absolutely.
Well, it's a possible legal
We
violation.
discussed it when it first came in, when we first got it.
Okay, okay.
Did we get the check or when you got the check?
There was never a discussion about spending over $500,000 on fire department salaries. Not at a public meeting, there wasn't.
Yes.
Well, okay, all of our meetings for the last 3 or 4 years are on videotape. Find them and show them to me.
I've got my notes at home because I.
It's on videotape.
It's fine. Let me find what
Okay.
meeting it was and I would be happy to discuss it, but I
Okay.
absolutely know it was a public
Okay.
meeting.
All right,
We're here.
okay. They're all on videotapes.
I don't recall ever talking about it any other place,
Okay,
because we're never any place.
okay. There's tapes, so it'll end the discussion. We'll prove it one way or the other.
I think it was at a meeting when the money came in and you said that
The money's
that
been
one
here for a
would
long
be
time.
able, yes, and we could use it for salaries.
Nobody didn't, I didn't
And that,
say, I
when we
didn't,
did the
I
resolution.
didn't say it couldn't be used for salaries. I said there was never a discussion that's how it was going to be used at a public meeting.
We discussed it like you mentioned, and I made a resolution to use it
Okay.
for
Right,
salaries.
here it is, right here, in these minutes. Trustee Good, February 14th,
Right,
said she would like to make resolution 17 to authorize an expenditure from the ARPA funds. Good stated that there is currently $660,780.71. And we are all agreeing to do fire department salaries for the whole amount. The expenditure from the ARPA funds will be for fire department salaries not to exceed $660,780.71. Trustee Hunter seconded. Vote. Sheets, yes. Hunter, yes. Good, yes.
I understand. I didn't say you didn't vote on it there. A discussion means deliberation as to why.
That
you're
was
doing
the
it.
discussion.
Under Ohio sunshine law, that's not going to count as a deliberation. Guarantee you.
So I can't make a resolution right now and then vote on it. Just like closing the street.
You guys can do whatever you want to. I'm just saying, my opinion is it was an illegal motion for resolution. because it wasn't publicly debated deliberated at this meeting.
I didn't have anything to deliberate, or to
Okay,
discuss about
all
it.
right, well,
We had
When
actually
she brought it up,
multiple
Okay.
times.
I
we
get-
had
okay.
Discussed.
Our
how we
meetings
were
have
gonna-
been taped ever since COVID started. Find me the tape where we discussed why we were spending that money on fire department salaries.
I
Okay,
mean, it's been discussed multiple times.
okay,
that
well,
we-
then it ought to
we
be on,
hired two.
then it ought to be
We
on,
hired two people.
then it ought to be on tape.
Yeah, it should be.
I didn't know a thing about it. In fact, I found a Post-it note. Do this. So if your fiscal officer doesn't know why it's being done, there's a
Maybe you
problem.
were not here that.
She wasn't here that.
I wasn't here on the 14th when you passed it. Like I said, for 3 years, we got it on videotape. Let's find out what it says.
Well, I am satisfied that we did it the proper way. We had our attorney look at it, and I'm satisfied. If you want to accuse us of something, go.
I'm not
ahead.
accusing you of anything. I'm just saying, for matter of fact,
know.
it wasn't discussed.
It has
that-
been discussed here
Okay.
at this table
All right.
many times.
Well, then
I
let's,
know one of them was when we discussed hiring. two
okay,
people.
then let's look at the tapes.
Look at them. I'm
Okay.
not, because I'm convinced
Okay,
that we did it.
So how do we resolve this? You're just not going to use the money?
I didn't say that.
Well, how do we resolve this?
I'm gonna be talking to legal about it.
Okay. I'll be talking to legal too, because I do not want to lose that money.
You're not
Because
gonna,
then-
excuse me, but it was the resolution in itself, not just how it was passed, but in itself was fiscally irresponsible. You don't even have to tell the government how you're going to spend it till December of 2024. You don't have to spend it till December 31st of 2000 and I believe 26. So you're not going to lose it. And it doesn't make any sense to spend money that you can spend on anything immediately and go through that money and then leave money sitting in the fire department or the emergency money that can only be spent on those things. We don't know what's going to come up. It's just, it was,
Well, I thought maybe we could discuss it with you to see how much we should use to make it stretch out over that period of time.
well, and you,
But since you don't want to work with us and you just want to accuse us of things, well, let Pete handle it.
that's fine.
I mean, in all reality, that's not fiscally irresponsible.
It is, why would you spend money that you don't have to spend for
It was
4
money that
years?
wasn't budgeted. Why not use it? And then we stretch our other money. I mean, it's either here or
You
there.
can't use fire money for anything but
I
fire.
understand.
So use fire money first and have this other money sitting there for whatever you need. And if in the end it needed to go to fire, then you use it for fire.
In all reality, I don't think it's your decision.
It's
Tell us
not
how
my,
to
it
spend
is not my decision to sit here and pass how money is spent. It is my decision when I get a post-it note on a resolution where I'm attesting that it was discussed and deliberated per law in a public meeting when I don't believe it was.
Okay.
And I'm not signing it. And that's what I told you.
It was discussed when the resolution was made and
Okay,
Ed and I seconded it, we passed it. And that money saves taxpayers in the long run, stretching out a fire levy. So that was the purpose. My thinking anyway.
Are you gonna check Ethan?
And is our SAM government account up to date that we have to have for that?
Checking on that, trying to track that down.
Okay.
So
Have you ever?
I do not get that information.
I thought the chief always did it, but I just wanted to
Yep.
double check. And I also received the invoice for David Donahue. Did you get that? I
What it-
emailed his invoice to you.
No, I did not.
I think I printed it off in case you didn't. There, I have it.
Okay.
And it's just a continuation. And that's all I have. If you wanna,
Okay, I gave you information to have a resolution passed.
resolution 25. To transfer $10,000 to the medical reimbursement checking account. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Trustee Sheets,
Yes.
trustee Hunter,
Yes.
trustee Good. Okay, I did check with, Fifth Third Bank, because there's been all the talk in the news about banking issues with banks and money. And, he assured me that the townships, all of our funds are safe. I gave you a copy of notice of violation from the Franklin County Public Health Department. I gave you a copy of a report from worker comp on an injured worker. Tech Review Committee had a meeting, Franklin County Tech Review Committee had a meeting on March 21st. Just an email on the Franklin County Natural Hazard Mitigation Planning Process, which I believe the chief is handling. Several emails from Sedgwick on different seminars that they're holding. As well, Sedgwick. Burnham and Flowers sent out a new list of contacts for medical insurance. Franklin Soil and Water, a newsletter, Backyard Conservation. Ohio Township Association Call to Action Legislative Alerts. Ohio Township Association Education and Events. A couple more emails, legislative alerts from the State Township Association. This was an email about where the county township had their meeting last week. Mark see an email, their newsletter. First Energy had sent out, which I'm not sure how many people in the township have First Energy, but about they're prepared to respond in any interruptions because of the storm. That's all I have.
Right, and our speaker sheets. Who would like to go first?
Couple of questions. I apologize. I don't think I put on form. Just following up on some previous meetings we had about the growth funds. Have you received those yet, or is it still in progress?
It's still in progress. Possibly, I haven't checked with it. But even if we don't want to reapply for the 2020 cycle, because I guess the Ohio Public Works Commission 2024 funding is going to instead of what county was talking. Probably better chance.
Appreciate it.
I've got a call into the person that helped with the township's filing grants and I haven't received any response.
The parking signs or the braking sign or Timberlake, what was that specifically referencing to? Apologize.
I have complaints about, since you can't ban truck traffic from Lambert,
Like a big.
yeah, semis and stuff, that I was receiving complaints about more or less when you're coming down both of them, and the semis are going through there, they've got the negative effect going during the night and just, you know what they say.
Yes. Apologize.
That's okay.
We had talked about 2 months ago, unfortunately, I've been here, about 62 in Lambert, about getting a light there. And I think it was put in or communicated, but I'm not sure if there was any movement yet.
There's no movement on it yet, but we're still working on that. Yes, sir.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
No, I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to, if you didn't fill out a speaker sheet, we'll let all of you have your time to talk. So raise your hand. Who wants to go first? Okay.
Name's Julie Webb, my husband Colonel Webb. And I went to the team today about the 2050 Grove City 2050 expansion plan, which thought would be helpful for you to see the map. Trustee has many more details, but our concern is about the annexation of Grove City proposed to take over into Jackson Township, also Pleasant Township. I live at 4575 Wrench Road. I'm sorry, 4575 Neck Road, and Christine lives on Wrench Road. And we have quite a few people who are here tonight to talk about that, but more so the proposed data center that is part of the trap property was discussed at the city council meeting. It seems to be moving forward fast. So our concern was further expansion, not only in that area, but into Pleasant Township all the way to Neck Road. That is not only a data center, but more commercial expansion, potentially with warehouses from all the way to Neff Road and then down to 665. We have looked at the proposed plan. This is just the maps, the maps, but the plan that's on their website, it's 98 pages in it. So we are concerned about the expansion into our properties. And Christy, if you might add a little bit more to that.
I think that was I'm Steve McClellan, and I live at 4641 Wrench Road. This isn't easy. So I
You can have a seat if you'd rather sit down.
oh no, that's okay. That you guys can just pick me up off the floor. And with stitches in my face, I can't laugh, so that was funny. The Webbs and some of us here live in Pleasant Township. I live in Jackson Township. So it wasn't until I received a letter, I'd be happy to show it to you. It's from the attorneys representing the Trapp family. And of course, we realize that everyone's allowed to sell their properties, right? So, but I have a little blurb, if you don't mind, I'll read it instead of just, okay. So the purpose of my speaking this evening, it's to address our rural communities' grave concerns regarding the futures to live peacefully in enjoyment of our homes. We're rural Jackson and Pleasant Township dwellers. Most of us grew up here. I think my dad knew you, Mr. Sheets, my dad, Ron Smallridge. Okay. And so we chose to move out here, right? I mean, that's what we did. On March 9th, I and 3 other neighbors, we received that annexation letter stating that the church on Wrench Road, familiar with the church, and the Trapp family farm consisting of 98 acres, they'd like to be annexed into the township, from township to Grove City. And our concerns are pretty clear and concise. According to the plans that Julie showed you, the annexation will make it possible for these properties to then come to the city and request a zoning change, okay? And when that happens, they want to change it from agriculture to commercial use with flex zoning accommodating warehousing, and it's 90, does anyone remember?
98.
Well, it was the size of it. I think it's 7 foot, 10 football fields, a 920,000 square foot data center. It's opened, it'll be open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It actually doesn't increase. There's only a few people that work in a data center, but it hums. Never ending sound because it has to generate to cool down that space. It seems that it would be up to us a better proposal to put a data center across from the dump, but that's probably a different avenue. What we're here today, can you turn? Is it is going to adversely affect not only our health and the well-beings of our persons, it'll affect our property values because you're living on 1 to 5 acre lots with a massive commercial industrial facility directly behind us. It'll mean more trucks, more semis. And if you're familiar with Wrench and Neff, Wrench turning on to Neff is a tough way to go anyways. Now think of the truck traffic that'll bring. So it'll be noise and light pollution, trucks, roads. And so I'm asking for your consideration to help us, right? And anything that we can do. The Trapp family, which is it's a generational family that's farmed around us for years. They certainly have a right. We're sad, but they have a right to sell their property. But we feel like the Pleasant Township and Jackson Township residents, and with your help, our trustees have a right to go, these people don't have anyone fighting in their corner. They're just showing up at meetings going, what can we do? It's to be the 4th on my notes, that they'll be at the county to propose the annexation into the city. It's because it can't be an island, they needed the church across the street to join in with them. So what we're asking is if you could get clarity for us, absolute clarity on what our trustees can help us with, what we can do. The city mentioned that this was all new and we sort of, it's not new. I was actually given notice on February 8th of 22 that they were asking for us to sell off 1 acre of the same four of us for a solar battery plant that would come from 104 down 665 to Pleasant Corners over. And that would be a solar energy battery storage facility. Then we've got a data, and then we've got warehouses with commercial use. So,
And the plan that I shared with you is actually dated 2018, so it's been out there posted for a while. I've been asking clarity, what does this mean? Is this looking at warehouses similar to 104 or into West Jeff? This is, many of it's farmland, but a lot of it is newly expanded residential. So why would you put commercial warehouse, zoning in the middle of heavy residential? It just doesn't make sense to us, and they're not really many answers at this point. So we're looking for some help as we're concerned.
Mr. Sheets, did you know about this? Did any of you guys know about this?
Not until Julie made me aware of it.
Okay.
Well, that's what we wanted to do.
That's what we.
I tried to do some research on it, and I'll speak for myself. I'm against it. But from what I could find, if the landowner is in agreement and the municipality is in agreement, the commissioners almost are forced to do it. The commissioners have the last say. The county commissioners, I believe.
And the only legal that I can see, and we're new to this, is the zoning. It's zoned agriculture, rural, residential. In order for that to happen, with all this stuff behind us, it has to change the zoning, which they can annex into the city, right? And they can sell who they want to, but we need help in asking them to not change that zoning. Because once that happens, then, but that wouldn't be the county commissioner, that would be the city of Sioux City that would have the ability to change the zoning.
If it's in a plan that's already been adopted, that's one of the things they look at to see if it fits with, like, I know when there's anything else, it's like within our comprehensive plan. And
This is their dream.
Right.
This isn't, they want to take over Pleasant Corners and just keep going. Can you help us?
I'm not sure how to help you. I'm willing to help.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to do it.
I think we're all three willing to help. you.
Right, I just don't know how much labor we have.
So the city can just take, as long as the owners want to do that, the townships can't say no.
So they would be able to take the Pleasant Township property.
They did take some, but the Cider Farm.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything about that ahead of time. Till we got the letter that it was, the zoning was being changed. Into Grove City. That's the corner there, Pleasant Corner that you're talking about.
Mhm.
Ahead of time.
The Jackson property that was just annexed, the Jackson Township trustees weren't happy about it.
Where was that?
The one you were talking about,
The tractor.
yes, yes.
It's all seems very suspect and covert and not fair, so we showed up at 7 o'clock tonight to help us.
I think that's what we just want to explain what's happening and more so creating awareness, because a lot of our neighbors don't as well. And so it's happening pretty quick now. So I'm meeting will just come out. So. What instance?
Is there any way that it was the township could give us any kind of a letter that we could read off to the county commissioners that would say that we came, as a community
We could do that. How soon do you need it?
before the 4th?
Is that the annexation meeting on the board?
So that they at least have something for us that we can present and go, we're not just complaining. This is our,
Now, is this the county commissioners?
The fourth
Front
is
Street.
on Front Street. Everything would have been fine if it had just been quiet. And I just happened to love my neighbors. And I know we're in a rural area, but we're a community. And so when I received that letter, I said, oh my, and they were very disappointed that we all found out.
But it's in Jackson Township. It's all Jackson Township.
Right now, it's all Jackson.
It's
With the expansion to 2050,
Okay.
it's all the way to
Mhm.
which is wasn't.
No,
The reason we wanted to bring this up to you is that map line of the property literally is the Jackson Pleasant Township one.
Mhm.
Like, it's a perfect match. So the next thing that would happen would be, so that's why we wanted to bring it up here, because they're not gonna stop, they're gonna keep going.
Right, it's very,
Yeah,
right to our farm.
yes.
yeah, but the thing is, they told us at the meeting that it wasn't an issue. They just wanted to put it in the minutes of the Grove City Council meeting because they needed to verify that the utilities. And I looked at that sheet that it shows the picture of the farm and it was addressed to those neighbors and stuff.
Mhm.
In the corner, it's all this comment about the sewer being taken over, the water being taken over, and once it does, you have to pay to connect to it. And then they will service it. So it's not just them selling the farm and this business coming, it's all that is put on your shoulders automatically because of it being annexed in and then the zoning change. So it's the way they did it, like they repeatedly, I hate to say it, but straight up lied when we would ask them questions. And then this lawyer gets up and starts talking and he was representing the farm. And his comment, his statement was, we've talked several times, so we want to schedule a meeting about the zoning change. And it's like, you told us multiple times, this is all brand new, but then the lawyer said that. So this is a mess, like so many lies that was terrible. And that was the first meeting that we went to.
So if your property,
Property in Jackson Township and didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
We were not even notified about it.
They wouldn't
Found out
know.
about it by accident.
Then the data center guy stood up and started talking about what he was gonna put on there and what's going on, and it had to have been planned before we got the letters.
Well, when I got the one from the 2022, in February of 22. And I'm not sure with the attorneys, I'm not sure about the fiduciary duties. I can't tell. One of the partners is representing the trap farm. I believe the other attorney is representing the data entry. And someone had to approach the church for it to all come full circle. And so because of the untrust now,
What really is the extent of it? Because you
Yeah.
can keep mowing based on that.
So did they tell you that if you're in Pleasant Township, you will have to
They didn't bring.
tap
us
into that?
Into,
Okay.
but it's just, that line is perfect, like it's perfectly matching, like
Oh.
if you look on that paper, yeah.
I would have no doubt they're gonna go after.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
But you would have to sell it.
yeah. Our biggest concern is later on in the meeting, they were talking about some intersection on Fulton Road that had to do with like Buckeye Wood. They were talking about how it had to be bigger and more space, and all these bike people came and talked about how it's so unsafe to bike, and I'm thinking, that road can barely fit 2 school buses. Like, it's scary when the buses are passing. So now we're gonna bring trucks and people ride their stinking bikes on our road, and I'm thinking, you're just asking for an accident. Like, 30 people should not be riding, and they do all the time, and it is scary, because we're not like that. We have little dips and hills, and it's gonna be bad, and on Wrench Road, there's a power line dipping way down. It looks like you can stick your arm out and touch it. So let's bring big trucks up and down there. Like, we need to raise them very specific things like that up to them, saying our roads aren't meant for this stuff. We can barely handle what's there now with the way the schools are over, how they built all the schools there. And they're cutting through our road constantly. Like, when school lets out, our road is a racetrack. Like, it's scary how fast those kids are driving. So, and it's not just Central Crossing, it's the Southwest Rear Academy. But yeah, I can't even imagine what it would be like if we had warehouses to this mixture. So, and they were saying, why wouldn't we want to be annexed in? It's like, why wouldn't we want to? We chose to live out here, to have our own septic, to have our own water. We don't want your pool water. Like, that was the whole point.
Who was
So-
saying that? The
The trustee people, or the council people.
That said, fine.
So, yeah, they just brought up all this stuff. It's like, you don't want it. Like, you might, to put it in context, and this is terrible to say, but I feel like we're the step kids. Like, we're not allowed to get a big splash pass. We have to pay extra if we want our kids to play Parks and Rec. All these years, we weren't allowed your golden stuff, and now you're forcing us. We don't want that. We chose this life for a reason, and we want to keep it. So it's just, the bad thing is, like, when they talked about the Fulton Road thing, the girl got up there and said, this is in my ward, and she was selling it to her heart's content. Well, they're talking about this property. No one's representing our ward because we're not in Grove City. You know what I mean? So literally, it was like, we're taking over, and this is what we're doing, but we're not really having this meeting. It was, so that's why we thought we'd talk to you, because we need, first off, someone to navigate, because we don't know what we're doing. We don't go to the Grove City meetings because we're not in Grove City. So, yeah, we feel like,
And I'll be township with a road. I'll eventually live on a corner because there's a trap farm is between me and my neighbor. But I won't zone in. I like living in township, and I don't want their water either. So it'll be me, my family, that'll be spot zoned, right? And then I'll be surrounded by commercial, industrial use. Because once the zoning, once that's out of the, once they change the zoning, it's, we're done.
I got something I'd like to ask. Wasn't there a few years ago, probably back when Keith Goldberg was here, the Darby Accord that would not let businesses and to the Darbydale, like from Darbydale up through Plains City. Because of the Big Darby Creek.
Right there, you're inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Corporation.
yeah. So wasn't there something in the Big Darby Accord about limiting what could go in?
I believe they have to give a statement, like to the planning commission. The Big Darby Accord does. It's a group of people.
Yeah, so I was wondering if they could stop it.
Environmentally.
Yeah. Because of the Big Darby Creek, Hell Branch and all the others that lead into. Just. Yeah.
Big Darby Accord.
That's Prairie Township there. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's everything.
So April 4th is the meeting. You said it's on Front Street?
At what time?
That's a,
So,
I think it's early, just a moment.
During the day is on.
It's the county commissioner meeting, like they have it, they have the county commissioner meeting there. Sounds like it.
that's what I was wondering.
I think it's during the day also, and I think, I try to keep as many notes as I can, that it's, they said that we would need signatures for a referendum, and I'm not sure how many signatures we would need to collect for a referendum. Actually, I'm not quite sure what that would mean.
Who said that?
The
Tammy Kelly is the person talking.
Mhm.
She is part of, she's the administrator for the city of Brook City.
Mhm.
So we're supposed to communicate with her and get updates. Agenda is sort of this action, expansion plan, annexation. So we're really trying to stay in touch with her. This has been the first notice that we're trying to chance to look and pass that along to you as soon as.
I would be happy to find out what time the trap farm will be introduced. But, you know,
General sessions are 9 AM. General sessions,
I'm not sure.
that's on High Street.
This is 150 South Front. No, you know, the
359 is where they were all their meetings, okay?
And that's why I wondered what's that on Front Street.
May I see this?
Sure.
It might not be the county commissioners, it might be like a different commission.
It sounds like it's just the. Did you say something about the planning committee?
Yeah, it's supposed to be the planning committee, and it's around the zoning of this property.
It sounds like if it's going in front of the planning committee, it's not going to the commissioners.
Right.
It's going to the planning committee.
Now, is that one open where people can speak at the planning?
I think it is.
Some of them are.
Yeah, some of them are, and some of them aren't.
Are,
I'm sorry, actually, the hearing date is 4/11. 20.
4/4 is the zoning.
Yeah,
What, 4/11 is the commissioners?
yes, that's where it's gonna be, the petition to
This-
annexation.
or groups that
Mhm.
is received by Matt Brown. With one of the Jackson Township trustees on this, and he said there's nothing they can do. stop it, the annexation into Grove City,
Mhm.
take it from Jackson.
I believe that. What I'm basing everything on is the rezoning from agriculture, semi-residential. The city has to rezone that to commercial, light industrial. They have to. And I don't want them to do that.
Yeah, I would say,
Oh, I believe you, but I'll fight.
once they get it annexed, that's their purpose, is to change it.
Yes, that is their sole purpose. It isn't to do something, would be normal, right, to put it across from a dump where you can't give the property away. That would make sense to me.
So are you planning on going?
Yep.
April 11th?
Mhm.
Like,
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
That farms in the Big Darby Creek watershed, and what tier does it sit on? I mean, that's the question to ask, because if it's in that, then they're limited by what they can do because it sits within the watershed.
unless
We
they,
don't know.
unless they get approval from the Darby Accord that they can. It's not written in stone they can't.
But isn't it protected by the federal government?
That can still be overridden, I think.
You know, my concern living on Ranch Road, we get flooding like crazy anyway already. You know, the roads can't handle all of this anyway. So environmentally, what's it gonna do to everybody around when you got runoff? You've got noise pollution. You've got.
Light pollution.
It's not just about property value. About when they start digging over there.
And wait a
What's that
minute.
gonna do? You know, it's gonna pollute all of our waters. Anybody that has a well within, I don't know how far.
I made a comment at a meeting about, it was about drainage, how bad it is.
Runoff.
And I said, just like, I said, we keep building these huge warehouses and covering the ground with concrete, like at Alkire and Norton Road. And I was told that retention pond works wonderful. And I said, well, that water goes someplace eventually. But that, they have an answer for everything.
Well, and we don't want to be in a situation where we're forced to have to hook into city water because we're flooding so bad and our wells are no good and our leach fields, our aeration systems are no good. We just need help.
Well, it affects everyone.
It does. It's not just
the
us.
realtors out there. I guess if they're putting a housing development back there that is okay for our property values, but you put in a warehouse back there, you know, it's putting so many more people out of business other than this large company, which I heard, and I don't know if it's right. But I heard it's part of health. Robotic system. I mean,
That's what they're gonna put in.
that's what I heard. Now, I don't know if that's accurate. But we don't want that. We don't want 24/7 noise pollution. And the noise, I guess, is horrendous from these, you know, vacuums or whatever they have to run to keep the building cooled and, you know, dust free and whatever.
And at some point in our life, they're not going to need a data collection center. I think we have the cloud now, right? So then what happens to it? So what's the mall, right?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but plus the, you know, typically any kind of business that goes in, it's tax abated for at least 5 years, most of them. So what does that do to our community? It's not like they're bringing in any additional money.
Look at all the empty warehouses over there. They're all empty.
So that's what we're trying to fight. We're not just fighting, you know, anybody can sell their property, you know, property values fall up and down all the time, but we just don't want, we don't want this.
I think I'm safe to say you're preaching to the choir. Because
We're
trying to.
We would prefer Grove City stay in Grove City and leave Pleasant Township alone.
We would like that.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the feeling of this board.
It'd be worse, Columbus could be taken over.
We don't want them either.
Neither do I.
I think the letter would probably help.
If you could do that.
February, I'm sorry. April 11th.
Before the 11th.
That is the meeting.
First, often versus in Pleasant Valley, they came from already asking her what sell. She said, I'm not selling it for it.
I didn't know what you would.
We're willing to call a special meeting, prepare a letter
Thank you.
before the 11th for you.
Thank you.
I don't know that it's going to mean much because this transaction is happening in Jackson Township or Pleasant Township, but we'll put something together.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And you can take this.
You absolutely.
Exactly. Did you hear anything different news? Just shoot us an email. Okay. Call one of us. Thank you.
Shoot her, give me a phone call. Damn them computers.
Okay, anybody else have anything?
Yes, I do. My name's Tom Bryson. I've lived down here in the valley since '86. And when the EPA come down here and had us all go to the way their septic tanks and everything like that. So this lady here, real nice lady, Amy, there's a piece of property there on Avon. That's across from Shane and I. That they just told her that she could put a septic tank on there. And I'd like to know why, because if I had to destroy all my stuff and everybody else down there, why are they able to put a septic tank there? And plus she has paperwork stating that she can do it.
I believe she got some bad advice. Don't you?
From the Ohio Department of Health.
Did you get that from Franklin County Board of Health? Because that's, you got something from the Franklin County.
Public Health. And I talked to the gentleman today, because I said, how long is this valid for? He said 5 years.
Was his name Adrian?
Adrian Allen. We question why they would allow somebody to even put a septic system in there, given the recently changed protection laws for 33.
Well, my thing is that she is able to do it, and everything up here, where that's located, goes in my yard. And what they say, it flows down. Everything goes downhill, that'd go right into my backyard.
And it's not that I want to put one in. I'd rather be able to hook to the sewer line if I can, but it's limited on that street where you can hook in.
That would make sense to hook into that.
Right, but if I get the one piece of property, I have to run it through the neighbor's property to be able to hook into it and have him allow me to do it. That's the only way to get to it.
What's the address that?
It's a flat that doesn't have an address.
Have a copy of that letter?
Yeah. You have a copy machine?
We do.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
All right, you know.
It was actually approved last June.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, that's my complaint, because
I can understand that.
I mean, I had to come in, I had to pay for all that hookup and all that stuff, and I was, and at the time, I was working 6 days a week and it was killing me. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, this can happen, something's wrong, here altogether. I agree.
We have your information.
Tom Bryson, BRISO, 5648 Maple,
What was that number again?
5648 Maple.
Our understanding.
Okay, that's right. You come down here, they come down here and say, you're going to do this.
Mhm.
Remember the big meeting we had here, the police and everybody was. Because I worked for Boeing. Retired from Honda. I was working 6 days a week. I couldn't get up there as much. But then I hear the poor lady here, and I'm thinking, she would try to do that. And all her money being invested in all that. Including if they do let her do that, then that's gonna get, because it's here, my yard is here. You know where that water goes down here? Because my house is on Avon, Maple, and North. And Shane's right behind me.
Yeah, my garage is.
It'd go right in his garage door. Now, everybody wants somebody else does that.
Your address and everything on that.
No, mine isn't. It's, I put my, I actually live in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is gonna take some investigation.
I killed it, fine.
It's probably.
And when were you planning to do this?
I'm just investigating everything right now because I'm being told different things. My preference would be if I could get 3 of the plots and put them together in one and tie into one of the sewer lines that are on the other side of the road. But then how do I get to the other side of the road?
Is the address on that letter? What's the address?
The plat is the plat number.
Okay.
So you can look it up for that.
Okay, that's
That's
a strange one.
Yeah, the one property I think she might be able to get to if she takes, because
There's 2 separate ones.
there's 2 separate properties beside each other. One was a Fulton residence that was arson and they had an apparent down stuff. That one has an address, but I don't know what it is offhand, mailboxes. I think like 6986 or something like that. Avon.
Thank you.
Is there anything else?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Jessica. I'm with Apex Clean Energy with the Springwater Solar Project. I just wanted to stop in and give an update as to where things are at. As you guys know, most of the project is in Madison County, but there is one parcel that goes over the county line into Pleasant Township. So we did get approval from the Power Siting Board back in December, but we're not near going to construction at this point yet. Not to go into too much detail and bore everyone, but our holdup is with the electric grid. It's called PJM. It powers all of Ohio along with like 12 other states. So they're doing a reform on their entire process of when you file an application, go through all the studies, and then finally get to the point where you can actually put power up into the lines. So it's causing a lot of delays in projects. So we are backed up by that and we're waiting to find out more from them as far as when we can actually start construction. So right now, earliest looks like March of next year. So we're in the meantime, just working with mainly the Madison County engineer, since most of the projects in there, just to make sure we're doing our best not to impact drainage and make sure we're avoiding some construction issues and stuff like that. And then once we get notice from the PJM grid, we'll be able to give a better timeline of when construction will start, but we're still about a year out at this point at the earliest.
And I'm also with Apex. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Gina Shilton. I'm the new public engagement manager for Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, and New York, but I'm based here. I live in Columbus. My last job was with the county auditor's office, so I'm local. So I wanted to step in for kind of the community impact communication ends of it. Introduce myself because I just started in November, and then also share the, with each of our projects, we do community grants to organizations within the project area. And we just opened the spring grant program for spring water. So Pleasant Township and entities here would be eligible for that during the project area. They're between $5,000 and $5,000 in one of our 4 areas: building healthy communities, economic development, environmental sustainability, and promoting education. And the applications are open until April 30th, and they're on springwatersolar.com. So I just wanted to share to you, but I was not expecting quite this crowd. But if any of you within the township think that you have an organization or something that might fit into it, please feel free to check that out. You know, or if any of you are teachers and are thinking you would like a unit on how solar panels or wind turbines work, let me know. I'll leave you guys my cards. You need something, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not much, just wanted to step in.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Heard it. So what is specifically this project?
It's a solar farm. Mostly it's in Madison County and Fairfield Township. One parcel around where Davidson meets Chamberlain Road does bleed over the county line.
Assessments on how that.
Yeah, so we already went through and got approval for the power siting warrants. We submitted an application early last year and it got approved at the end of last year.
How many are safety?
It's about 750 total.
That's
It goes to the power grid that powers like the entire state, so you can't directly call us up and say, hey, we want to buy power from you directly, but it feeds into the grid that powers everyone.
You still pay for it.
Do we get a discount on our electric when that happens?
No, unfortunately, there's not a direct way to sell, for us to sell power directly to consumer. We would sell it into the grid and then the grid sells it to customers, so.
You control that at a cost basis, or is it whatever the power company are selling?
Power companies, it has nothing to do with a company, yeah.
When sure if they're taking like flow power, because it's going to be cheaper versus what they make, that might be a cost savings to the customer.
Over time, I think it will be with more solar and wind projects going into the grid across the 13 states that the grid powers, just because it's a low cost of energy, but there's no direct, like we sell you power at a cheaper rate because it's a cheaper form of power.
Are there battery storage on site?
We permitted to have battery storage on site. We wouldn't be able to construct it until after the solar is built. So as of now, we are planning to do battery, but it won't be until.
So what will be the emergency response for that? Because the batteries are the worst thing for the environment at this point. So that's what you're putting into our area.
We're not 100% sure if we're putting battery or not. And if we are, it'll be at a later date after the solar is already up and running. So we're looking at years down the line.
Any questions? Being that you're got your current location already at design, are you looking to expand?
No. Nope, it's just the project. If we wanted to go back and expand, it would be like starting over and starting a whole new project, going back to the state, which we have no intention of doing.
So, but you already have the solar panels up.
No.
No.
No, this would go into construction sometime next year. So no, we don't have anything built yet.
I heard that there was a place out here that has like
There are,
acres and acres of all.
there's projects under construction. There are different companies, but there are projects in Madison County that are under construction.
So they're gonna be batteries everywhere, which will be bad for everyone.
I'm not sure if those projects have batteries or not. I just know they have solar.
Would you like to live by one?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it personally.
So is there, when you're putting up these solar panels, are you going directly right into the grid or?
So we'll build a substation that, well, a switch yard that puts the power into the lines that feeds the grid. So the power lines are already existing, like the large power lines that you kind of see going through the area. Those are the lines that we would build a substation, and the substation puts the power into the grid.
Is that going to be on the perimeter of the basis, like everybody's home, or is that more centralized away from, where is that cell power?
Yeah, it's centralized in the project. Yeah, it's not like in anyone's backyard.
We have those lines going in our yard, right? I cannot build anything within 100 feet of me.
Where do you store that energy?
So either you collect the power and put it directly into the grid in real time, or that's where the batteries come in, where it could be stored in the batteries and put onto the grid kind of at a level rate rather than peak when the sun is shining, you're putting power in, and then at nighttime, you're not putting any power in because you're not producing. That's where the batteries come in. So you put power into the batteries and then the batteries feed into the lines.
You know, I don't know if you were listening, but that's exactly what was given to me. That they wanted a solar battery storage facility on the 98 acres that we were just talking about with the data center.
Okay.
That's what you're talking about, right?
I'm talking about a solar farm.
Yes, but I mean,
Potentially with batteries. But
the letter.
okay. Yeah, but that's not from my company. We're in a different area. You're in Jackson Township, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not us.
And this is the second solar farm in the township. We have another one.
Yes.
Where's that?
It's called Pleasant Prairie. And a good portion of it is on Johnson Road. Will be. It's not there yet. They haven't started construction at all, I think.
Across from the houses that are being built. That part of Johnston Racing?
No, west. And that will go clear to Broad Street throughout 40.
So you say you're not that company, but what makes you different from?
I mean, I don't know anything about that company. I don't know what the question is. You're just telling me what they sent you. Was there a question?
No, but you.
That's a different, it's a
I know,
different
I know,
solar
going
farm.
back to what you said before, you said we're not that company. I know this.
Well, I
But
think-
what makes you different from?
Well, I think
I don't know what
It's
company
a
that is.
completely
Yeah.
different.
So I guess we don't know any of the details of what that is or what the proposal was, because it's not us, so I don't know how to answer questions about that, I think is the point. Not that we're,
Yeah, but I guess her concern was like, what's gonna be in her community and the batteries and the safety and the emergency response.
so we're not currently, are not building batteries in Pleasant Township. And part of our work in the community and part of what I'm doing is we by state law have to work with the fire, EMS and sheriff in every place we have solar panels, and it would go for battery, to have conversations to make sure what equipment is there, how does it work, what's the safety, and if they don't have the equipment that they need, should there be an incident, we are required to provide.
So basically, let me help us a minute. Basically, what might occur on near you, that company that's doing that will have to do the same. They would have to provide the equipment if it is not, like, if there's not the right capacity, they would have to make sure that they provided the funding, not the taxpayers, the funding, so that there was enough fire and EMS and all that to take care of this.
Yeah.
So in a general sense.
Yeah.
Does it probably require like special suits, fireproof suits for lithium batteries? Wouldn't they have to have a special?
Well, the batteries are a different animal and it's, I think we're just delving into that. But I think the biggest thing is the training, how to deal with it. And then the companies would be responsible
Right.
for
I think
cleanup
that's the
and
biggest-
containment when that occurs. So it really is, how do we protect our people in the community around us if there is an event, and go from there.
Are there any long-term studies that have already been done?
I don't have any on hand. I can pull some up, but I mean, I was here to talk about solar, so.
Right. But do we have any long-term studies of the effects of solar and building these structures?
Yeah, you can go on our website, springwatersolar.com. We have like a bunch of peer-reviewed studies and stuff like that that you can find.
Is there any benefit to the township?
Yeah, so we have a pilot in place, payment in lieu of taxes with both counties that the project sits in. Since Pleasant Township does make up a smaller portion of the project, just whatever portion of the project sits within the county would be given out. So it's a total of $9,000 per megawatt for the whole project, which equals out to about 1.4 million. It'll be divvied up to both counties based on percentage of the project and then divvied out based on the millage.
Anything else? Thank you. Does anyone else have anything they want to say, ask? All right.
I noticed that problem wasn't fixed on Lemon Grove Court.
Correct. They did not get it fixed. Evidently, they didn't do the work according to what John Adams had put in, he wanted done. So he's coming out to supervise it, and they're going to take care of the entire tile from that drop just east of me all the way to the end. So it's going to benefit everybody down through there.
To the end, which end are you at?
The west end, there's in that wooded area, the house is in the wooded area. That's where that tile ends. Okay, now the flow to that comes from the west, like 3 more properties. So this should take care of all the current flooding in there right now. Once they get this tile open up, he says it may take 3 or 4 days. But if ODOT can't get the project done, he's going to bring a commercial company in to take care of that. It's only an 8-inch tile, but he's going to take care of that entire 1,700 feet of tile.
When is that going to happen?
Hopefully next week. So within the next couple of weeks. So my last email yesterday was, please help us. You know, I sent him pictures and videos. John has been great. He's been out. He was out again today while I was at work and looking at it. I'm taking measurements of the water depth and everything. So he says we're going to try. Finally. 3 years working. Yep.
Some good news.
Well,
Once it's done, yeah, once it's done. All right, anything else? Thank you Chief, for leading our pledge again today. Now, I will make a motion. Yes, we need an executive session. I move to go into executive session according to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G1, for the purpose of discussing pending litigation. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Trustee Sheets?
Yes.
Trustee Hunter?
Yes.
Trustee Good.
We will have your letter before the election.